seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant, visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians to participate with intelligent and honest contributions. After all, my friends, we have a country to build. We've got jobs and industry to create. We've got a people to inspire and empower. And generations of born and unborn Bahamians, we the people, must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, everybody has been talking about it, this unsealed deal. Does it reveal all the information that we've been looking for? Did it fall short? Were there any surprises? We talk about it today on Hard Copy.
Mark the dates. June 26th through 30th. It's the Assemblies of God's 62nd Biennial General Council meeting in Nassau, Bahamas. The place, Evangelistic Temple, Collins Avenue. The time, 7:30 p.m. nightly. The theme, the Kingdom of God culture. The Assemblies of God, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Island invites one and all associate churches, members, and friends to this grand event. Go out and hear from Reverend Dr. Patrick Paul, Reverend Dr. James Bradford, Bishop Jerry Seal, Reverend Dr. James Davis, Reverend Dr. Robert Lockhart, Reverend Dr. Vaughn Cash, and many others as they speak to the Kingdom of God culture. All services will be held at Evangelistic Temple. Mark the dates. June 26th through 30th, 7:30 p.m. nightly. The Assemblies of God's 62nd Conference, Nassau, Bahamas.
It was an easy choice going back to water and sewage because when I was on the well, water smells, the pressure was always low. For the water and sewage, and we had a quality water, and also the pressure is always high.
The Water and Sewage Corporation's offer of 50% off sign-up services is back for residents in New Providence and the Family Islands. Offer valid for a limited time only. Some restrictions may apply. Sign up today. The Water and Sewage Corporation, committed to growth, committed to quality.
Executive Printers. We're professionals. At Executive Printers, we do not participate in trash talk. We concern ourselves with the accuracy and security of your laser check. That is why we put 15 securities on your laser checks. This is not trash. This is fact. It makes fraud almost impossible. Call us today at Executive Printers at 393-5011 or email us at sales@epbahamas.com. That's sales@epbahamas.com. Executive Printers. Laser checks. We do them right.
We all have our favorites, even with chicken breast, baked for her, grilled for him. No matter how or what they like, you'll find it on special at Super Value and quality supermarkets. Indian Summer Apple Juice, 64-ounce bottle, $2.99. Bone-in chicken breast, $1.59 per pound. Hill's Biscuit, assorted flavors, 150-gram size, 3 for $1.99. Rosoni ready-cut macaroni, 14.1-ounce box, 99 cents. Sweet mangoes, 99 cents each. Pick sweet corn on the cob, 8 ears, or mixed veg, peas and carrots, 28-ounce, $2.99. Feeding the family, that's Super Value and quality supermarkets.
Acres of green space, water features, kiddies pool and playground, walking trails with fruit trees. Sounds good? It's Life at Hills, a gated community with all the amenities, located West Bay Street opposite Old Fort Bay. Inquire now, 362-1214 or 362-1652. Life at Hills.
Y'all, what? You heard Interior Exterior having a massive sale? They're giving you free bathroom windows, free insulation, and hurricane impact windows starting from $180. Call them, y'all, at 356-0221. That's 356-0221. This special only for a month, y'all. So you better go try her and catch that sale.
Driving on West Bay in rush hour? Hard. Getting a new car to enjoy the ride? Easy. Carting the kids around after school? Hard. Getting a car to fit them all? Easy. Get an easy auto loan from Commonwealth Bank. Super low rates, fast 24-hour approval, no loan fee, and no payments for 2 months. So come to Commonwealth Bank, and your next car is easy. Commonwealth Bank. Terms and conditions apply.
I know one thing, we cannot keep allowing people to be doing, like say, all these contracts and then no payment there. The second thing, the government needs to be buy, expose, and delete, and cancel Baha Mar. See, when they find out what's going on, the government, they can tell the people, But when they bring the issues about Baha Mar safe, and if the government try to conceal what is in that deal safe, I will tell the people what it is. Me safe, me. They said if they want to hear what the people say, I would also like them to let the people know who all are the behemoths involved with all those deals, the shops and everything in Baha Mar, the names to those companies, and the people involved in those deals. Concerning that airport and that position with 5 shops. I see, come on, man. I mean, they think other people don't want to live it. It is clear and evident to me that the people want these persons who have squandered public funds and enriched themselves by reason of their office to be brought before the court. I want her to do it. We're going to send somebody to jail. And I didn't want her just revealing it. I want her with systems we can put in place so that this don't happen again.
It is Wednesday, the 21st day in the month of June 2017. As you battle the congested city streets in drive-home traffic, we have sunny to cloudy, to partly cloudy to overcast skies in some areas. 85 to 88 degrees right now is the nation's capital. There's a low tonight of 82. Of course, there's a 20% chance of rain in the forecast. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by Interior Exterior Windows and Doors, the Bank of the Bahamas, your bank of solutions, Assemblies of God 62nd Council meeting, Mount Tabor's Inspiration, Bahamas Foot and Ankle on Blake Road out west, Super Value, the all Bahamian supermarkets, Rocky Farms Nursery on Seabreeze Lane. They've got the goodies over there, my friend. Water and Sewage Corporation, the Ministry of Tourism. Travel the Family Islands this summer, will you? Echo Water, the official water of Hard Copy. Commonwealth Bank. Cool Tech, the air-can-do experts on Tonic Williams Darling Highway. Bahamian Brewery and Beverages. Super Wash open 24/7. 11 stores all available to serve you all the stuff that you're looking for at Super Wash. Advantage Insurance and Broker, 61 Collins Avenue. Ron's Electric Motors on Claridge and Wolf Road. Executive Printers on Jerome Avenue. And the McKinney Media Group Limited. Advertisements, public relations, consultation. We do it all at McKinney Media Group. Hard copy today for calling 325-0235 or 6. And I will tell you that you can also get us today, WhatsApp and texting 376-9234. You can also call us today around the country, 325-024243. And you can follow us on the World Wide Web at peace1075.com. And in this area today, the streaming is in and out because of the internet problems and the intermittent internet problems from Cable Bahamas. Hard Copy YouTube channel, you'll get us there, Cable Top Box 970. Plus, you can get us on BTC Flow on the Go at 613 and on TuneIn Radio. iPad, iPhone, and the Android. There's also a new app that we have now called Radio Air, and you can go there on any iPod, iPhone, etc., and you'll get us there as well. Follow us on Facebook, Hard Copy, and on Twitter, Hard Copy Bahamas. Now, you know that everybody has been talking about what's been happening in the House of Assembly, not only the budget debate and the speech and all that kind of stuff, but also this unsealing that Dr. Hubert Minnis, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, told us about. And it's been quite interesting, but I wonder today, since you know some of it, do you find it to be very interesting to the point where all has been revealed? Do you believe that all has been revealed? Is there much more that we can get from this whole matter? And Was it something that was beyond your expectation? You ought to call us today on Hard Copy. I've got a guest coming in. We're going to be talking some other things as well. But I want you to call me at 325-023546 because I've heard you on that promo that Stephen Jr. produced earlier today for people talking about how they expect to get some results as a result of what is to be discovered at the time when they did that. What was to be discovered in this sealed deal? Now, I want to find out from you that what are your thoughts about what has been revealed thus far? Can we expect more shocking news? Now, we've been getting shocking news all week long. We've gotten so much shocking news all week long about the spending, the wild spending from the previous government, that I don't believe that anybody would be surprised at anything anymore in this country as it relates to what Christie and his administration did in the past 5 years. Wouldn't you say? I mean, we would just basically live it. I was like, okay, all of this stuff they did, we got so angry about the whole matter, learning all of this that we've been learning, that there's no more room for anger. There's only room now for what people say, repercussions, consequences and repercussions. And that is the order of the day right now among the Bahamian society. They want to see action. There's no sense in telling them all of this stuff that's happened, but there are no consequences in action. Well, so far on that particular score, the minister responsible for works, Desmond Bannister, he had been advocating, and so has Jeff Lloyd and many other the ministers, advocating that, yes, the Attorney General must act. Of course, the Attorney General is the Honorable Carl Bethel, and they're looking to him now to make something happen because this is egregious. All the stuff that happened in this country the past 5 years, and I suppose it could go further back than that, but just looking at the past 5 years, some extremely crazy stuff happened with money spending in this country. It's been really a wicked measure so far. That's the best way I can look at it. I mean, I cannot believe the kind of things that happen, loosely spending money as if there was this big treasure trove of money at a time, and you have to remember the context now, at a time when all of those international lenders to the Bahamas kept saying to us, look, tighten your belt. Look, cut down the civil service. Look, you got to stop spending. Reel it in. Look, stop buying all these cars. Look, don't do this. They were saying it to us all along. Grow the revenue. Grow it. And we procrastinated. We played crazy. We didn't do anything. In fact, one member of the former government, he wasn't a member, but he was trying to become a member if he was elected, Wayne Monroe, a qualified lawyer, as we all know, a QC. He told me point blank, he says, look, if we had gone, meaning the PLP, and cut down the civil service, that would not have been politically expedient for us because you don't do them kind of things in an election year. And so that must have been the kind of mantra, the kind of focus that the PLP would have had in their administration, that you just don't do certain things. Well, this particular government had better get to it because there are things that they must do as a matter of good measure. And they're not going to be popular for doing a lot of things, but they have to do things to bring this country back on stream. We are in a bad position. The debt ratio, you hear me say it all the time, the debt ratio to GDP is somewhere hovering around 80%. My goodness. I mean, if you spend 80 cents out of every dollar on bills and other things that you've got to do before you can take care of the home, the grocery, the school fees and all that, you got no money. That's what this means, I want to break it down in simple terms. Your debt to GDP, the ratio of it is 80% and climbing. And these guys who were there, they were spending as if there was no tomorrow. Sometimes when a man becomes desperate, and many of us have become desperate in many things that we have done in trying to keep up the home, keep the house going and all that. But if you max out with your paycheck, which is your GDP, your paycheck is maxed out because you're paying out so much loans to these little furniture stores and these little TV stores that you go and borrow money from. You got 80% of every dollar that you're spending going out. Well, what you going to have to pay the people bill? That's what has happened to the Bahamas. And so it is no wonder that people are saying things like, boy, I hope we don't lose our dollar as far as it being devalued, and maybe that's some way off. But the point is, it's a very, very possible situation. And that's one of the reasons why Steve has come to you on hard copy and has had these little chats with you to say, look, you got to put on your thinking cap and try to generate new ideas and new philosophical underpinnings for this new government, because they cannot be allowed to come in and do the same old stuff. It's just not a prudent thing to do. Now, I believe that they know better, but just getting back to what I was saying, all of this spending, we're not growing the revenue that we should. We've not been collecting revenue. At least the previous government didn't do so. They just depended upon this new sweetness that we got called VAT, value-added tax. And depending on that value-added tax, they decided that, oh, we on easy street. They became laissez-faire, just lackluster, just really cavalier, couldn't care less. That's the way I have to say it now when I look at what has happened between early this year and May 10th. When you look back and see what has happened, you've got to come to a reasonable conclusion that, man, these guys were just not checking. And then on top of all of that, friends, you look and you see that the Christie government, and I told you this last week, you remember? The Christie government gave away so much money in the expectation of revenue generation from the stamp tax for the sale. This is apparent sale of Baha Mar. And then they waived all kind of other taxes. And we don't know the end of it all. But of course, Minnis came and he got that court document. That court document, the heads of agreement, but between the parties, that was signed on August 22nd of 2016. The Baha Mar agreement with China Export-Import Bank. Perfect Luck Claims Limited. Perfect Luck Assets Limited. And the government of the Bahamas. It has been unsealed. And the context now, or the contents now lay bare before us. For those who would go and take a good look and a close look at it. The Christie government agreed to a whole lot of stuff, I tell you. The Bahamian people, the stuff that they agreed to, for the most part, the Bahamian people always had suspected was a part of this close or this sealed deal. So all along, you were being told about many things, and some people said, I ain't so sure. Some people say that ain't true. Some people even wrote and put things on the website, not website, but the social site, social media, and said, Steve talk about that ain't so. We had been telling you from early around 2015 what had been happening. And now Minnis has discovered some stuff based upon what has happened in this unsealed deal from the courts of the Bahamas. And he has found out some things that we suspected all along. And I suspect that there is even more. Well, I know there's more. But suffice it to say, we will deal with those things, I suppose, that have already been revealed officially from the courts through the new government of the Bahamas, led by Dr. Hubert Minnis, Prime Minister. So apart from all of these egregious things about what we suspected was in this deal, the heads of agreement, 1,200 work permits for incoming Chinese labor was agreed to for CCA. That's the construction company, so that they could complete the job. Remember now, Christie them was this thing where they were just rushing to get things done. They wanted the Baha Mar to be open. They wanted to bring all these jobs on streams, they said. And this would really make the people feel good, they thought, and this will get them reelected to office. So they made a number of shortcuts, a number of interventions they did to just get it done. And then Christie, them also agreed to write off the stamp duty, as we talked about, as well as waive value-added tax on the transfer of the assets from Baha Mar Limited. Now, you know what that costing was in tax money, really? We talked about it last week. $400+ million. It's the same exact shortfall that Minnis and them had to go and look for to borrow this money. They had like 300 some million, then they gone for another 400 some. They accumulated $722 million because had Christie and them not done away with 400+ million, and that would have been money right there. Easy street. This new government may have started out still in a deficit, but a little bit better. Sure enough better than $500 million that they would have left Christie them in the boneyard on. You remember when the Christie them first came to office? So they would have had, if Christie and them had done what they were supposed to do, this is what it comes down to. Then that's $400 million that we would not have to go and borrow. That's how you have to look at that. If this was forthcoming in payments on the stamp tax and the value-added tax and these things. So Christie them agreed to write it off according to the information revealed by the court documents. This is the preliminary or the initial first look at what this unsealed court document is all about. Minnis administration, as you know, had pledged to unseal the deals the minute they get in office. They did that recently while they were in the House, and then they, of course, before becoming the government of the Bahamas, they had said that they were going to seek to have this deal unsealed. And we all had questions about it, how that was going to be done. This was a court document, etc. But the Attorney General, Mr. Carl Bethel, had been able to make application to the court to get it done. And look at it, it is done. Because the Bahamian people knew all along that this was not supposed to be something secret. They did all these things supposedly on behalf of the Bahamian people, and the people themselves couldn't have access to it. This is what Pastor Rex Major and I talked about yesterday, signing away all these goods, and the people themselves who you're supposed to be doing this good governance for had no knowledge of it. The blind leading the blind. So the former government also did something egregious. They agreed to a 50-50 split of all the agreed expenses of the provisional liquidation. That means that all the stuff that they talked about, the expenses for court, the expenses for the actual liquidators, we agreed that we're going to split that 50-50 between the people of the Baha Mar group and we, the Bahamian people, through our government. This is another thing that we were tied to. So we were spending money and giving away money, and at the same time not making any money, just hoping that we could have a windfall at the end of the day when March 10th came around. See, I try to break it down as simple as I can so you can see it, because it could become more complicated with all these numbers and terms and all that. You only need to know who the players were, what this agreement was all about, this heads of agreement. You only need to know that the court allowed for this document to be unsealed, made it available to the new prime minister, and he has said some stuff. He's extrapolated some things from it and told us so far what is what, the things that we thought that we needed to know, or he believes that we need to know at this point. But we asked this question today, is there more to reveal? I would suppose that there's a whole lot more to reveal. And I suppose if the government is in this good mood that they're now in to keep on digging and probing, they'll find out a whole lot more things that were a part and package of this deal that extends to other things like citizenships and work permits and that kind of stuff. Well, they found out about the work permits. This is the work permits, though, for the Chinese to come and finish constructing the building. There are other work permits that they need to take a look at. And of course, we have information that we understand to be the correct information. We're going to wait to see just how the government reveals this information to us, because it is the people's business. And since it's the people's time, it goes hand in hand. The people's time, so give us the people's business. And I believe that Minnis is the kind of fellow, as I told you last week, that will let the chips fall where they may. So there are a lot of things going on, and it may be too much for us to handle right now. So I want you to think about it and give me a call today, because there are some other things that I suppose we need to talk about as it relates to these many delinquencies of our previous government. And we have to do it from a point of view that it does not happen in this new government. There's no space for error. There is no space for corruption. There's no space for malfeasance. There's no space for error in the present administration. So we must keep them nice and pristine and clean so that they can, in fact, do a good job, which they are seemingly doing at this particular point in time. But how do you feel, too, another question, about all this stuff? These contractors who got so much money, these $8 million for cleanup and all that, I mean, wouldn't you say that something is absolutely wrong with that? This is the part that has really put pressure on the Bahamian people, and the Bahamian people have cried out and said, look, we got to do something about it. I think that they went overboard. Whoever these men were or these companies were, they may have done a good job. The jobs may have cost what it's supposed to, what they say it costs, but it's a little extravagant, wouldn't you say? It's really over the top. And on top of that, the payments that were made, it seemed as if somebody was trying to clean out the kitty before May 10th came. And that's just unfortunate, because you know how Bahamian people go, and we all like this. We smell a rat. You want, all of a sudden, you getting all of these checks. A particular contractor, according to Dr. Minnis, getting all these checks, 8 or so checks over a couple of days, and some 3 or 4 of them in the same day. My numbers may be off, but I think I heard him say 3 or 4 of them happen on the same day. Check payouts to this particular construction company, or this, not I should say, this vendor, this contractor, who I believe was contracted to do some cleanup or whatever from after the hurricane. That's some serious money. Who had the money to pay out? Was it not Shane Gibson, who had $150 million for the hurricane relief? Is my information correct, or is my information erroneous? I remember that Shane Gibson had this money, and the Prime Minister backing him, saying that he trusted Shane to do this because of his foresight, his attitude, his insight about these kinds of things, and he had a good, in the Prime Minister's word, a good understanding of how these things work. Did it come from that? There's payout. See, these are the kind of probing things that are now bothering the Bahamian people. And that's why they're calling for some people's heads. The Attorney General had said that, ministers of the previous government may have to, well, answer for the egregious things that they did or allegedly did. Some ministers may have to answer. Well, that means to the Bahamian people that they smell a serious investigation and they expect serious prosecution. And if that happens, this would be the very first time that wholesale prosecutions and investigations would take place in the modern Bahamas. But it could be compared to things that happened in the days of piracy, when Wood Rogers came to town as a privateer and decided that he was going to clean up this place. And he started with the most deliberate act of finality. He hanged some fellas, 17 of them, right by the Hilton Hotel. They didn't want to get out of town. I told you this story before. So this thing is so, what is happening now, it is so serious that the people expect nothing more, nothing less than prosecutions in the final analysis. They expect probing investigations. Now, Minnis has got to be smart enough, and I know that he is, to ensure that the investigations are going to be handled by those who do the investigations, and the prosecutions will happen by those who do the prosecutions. I see he was very clever to make sure that there was going to be a separate office for that kind of thing, so that the Attorney General wouldn't have anything to do much with that. He said this in the speech from the throne. But he has got to make sure that these things happen, because the people will find him and his government wanting. especially since Denisio D'Agla and Jeff Lloyd and Marvin Dames and all of those who had been talking and Desmond Bannis and many others gave us the rundown. We got the clear rundown. We understand exactly what happened now. We got the clear rundown. Now, the question is, what you're going to do? What you're going to do is what the question is. And that's quite interesting. Not that I'm on a witch hunt, not that I want anything to happen to anybody, because you know me, I teary-eyed, I cry for everything, and I like to see things happen in a good way for everybody all the time. That's just me. But there are rules and regulations, and there are consequences and repercussions. And so I ask you today your thoughts at 325-023546. 325-024-2043, 325-025-2053. Menace has found some stuff in this unsealed deal, but how far does it go? Does it go very, very far, to the point where we're going to have to stop the press and get some stuff done? I'm listening to you. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing, man?
Very good. How are you?
JT calling in today.
JT, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks, and good afternoon to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the matter of the deal having been unsealed today at 1 o'clock.
Mm.
When I heard that, Steve, I was stunned by some of what I heard in it.
Mm-hmm.
From this point of view, the Christie administration had been telling us about the high rate of employment.
Yep.
How on God's green earth, Steve, could they go and agree to allow 1,200
mm-hmm.
non-Bahamians to come into this economy to take jobs away from Bahamians who needed and wanted those jobs?
Now let's remember something. The 1,200 that you're talking about would be 1,200 workers, laborers for CCA, the Chinese Construction Company of Americas.
And for this stage of the project.
Exactly. That's what that is. And see, that's why I'm happy you say for this stage. That is just for that. You need to see what else is inside there.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. But I'm waiting.
You guys got the copy of it?
No, not yet. But I'm waiting on to see exactly how much of this will be revealed in short order, because there must be other things as far as work permits and all that were concerned, were agreed to. Many other things were agreed to. Because remember now, that's just the CCA. Don't forget that V. Alfred Gray had somehow mistakenly said, inadvertently said on this station the day that I had him on, that Allison Maynard Gibson and Boltram Bell was off in Beijing, trying to get things sorted out now for the workers who are coming here to work in the hotel. You remember that?
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Well, I have the sound bite. So there are other people who are supposed to be here at a level of, chefs and this and the next thing and executive level. So, you haven't seen all of that yet or heard about that yet. Plus, there's also this whole idea about when Christie couldn't give us an account for the demands that were made to him for these many things, including the work permits and, of course, the citizenship and all those kinds of things. That's going to be somewhere in there, because they would have had to agree that this is going to happen. Remember,
a couple more points I'd like to touch on regards
to
the Baha Mar. One having to do with this nonsense, in my view, about economic citizenship.
Yeah, that's the same thing. That's what Christie talked to. He made it sound important, that economic citizenship.
Nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Citizenship ought to be citizenship, and it ought not to be tied to any business person coming here and wanting to do something for the Bahamas.
Well, Christie thought he'd make it sound a little bit exceptional and different.
No, Steve, please stop making apologies for Mr. Christie.
I'm not. That's not.
Please.
No, that's not apologies. That's not a. I'm saying Christie thought that he'd make it sound.
This is all brush. You see, let me tell you why I responded like that, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those Bahamians who could not wait to see the back of Mr. Christie. I say that respectfully, but frankly.
Yeah,
okay?
Understood.
So I don't want to hear anything right now that sounds like letting Mr. Christie off lightly.
No, I'm not letting him off. Don't misunderstand me.
No. I'm not saying that you are. Yeah. Understand what I'm saying? I personally don't want to hear anything that sounds like it.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay? So my thing is, Mr. Christie knew better.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Christie had the life of this country in his hand, and Mr. Christie squandered.
Of course he did.
And repressed all are we the people? I mean, by God, man, 1,200?
Yeah, man, that's small things, man, JT. I'm telling you.
Steve, I understand what you say there's more to come, but my point is, still take a look at that 1,200. How many Bahamians could have been working in those
Of
positions
course,
right
that
now?
I agree with you. But of course, you see, this is a part. This was part and parcel of the deal that was forged by the XM Bank. You see, the XM Bank was calling the deal because CCA is a part of them. They're all a part of the Chinese government.
Well, and that is where we made the big mistake, which leads me to my next point, Steve. And I ask you guys in the media to please look at this, because I believe that there's some treason or treasonous activities that have taken place. This is my gut feeling, and I'm hearing other people say the same thing, and I'm inclined to believe and support that notion. Please take a look at the Constitution. I think it's somewhere in between Article 70 and 75, somewhere up in there, that talks about a government being guilty, a Bahamian government, of course, being guilty of treason if they were to get in bed with a foreign entity. Now, that's paraphrasing it. I've been trying to find it online today, but for some reason, I just can't locate the Constitution the way I need to be able to go through it with my jaw screen reader. So I am asking anybody out there, please, because this is no light thing, man. This is the salvation and the sovereignty, the sovereignty of the Bahamas that Mr. Christie, those have injured. And we as Bahamian citizens, first of all, our citizenship needs to be highly respected, highly regarded, and protected. We don't need to be giving. If you ain't coming here because you love and want to help us to go by this country, you don't need to be given no citizenship. Permanent residency, maybe, but not citizenship. And
all right.
In respect to treason, come on, man, Steve, there's got to be something guilty
time,
that they did out
my
there.
friend JT, time will reveal.
But come on, man, I want to hear you, Steve McKinney, Yvonne McCartney, Shanique Miller, the Fourth Estate. I want to hear y'all coming to us now, telling us about what y'all done dig up, now that the information is flowing more